What's going on, everyone? Trust the Buzz here. If you're new to the channel, just know I make daily Charlotte Hornets content. So if that sounds interesting to you, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. If you cannot tell by the thumbnail title of this video, in today's video, we're going to be talking about if the Charlotte Hornets should trade for Donovan Mitchell. Now, if you can see right here, this tweet I have, if you don't follow me on Twitter, follow me at TrustTheDABuzz at Twitter, where I talk about the Charlotte Hornets, and it'll be cool to interact with y'all that way. It'll probably be a little quicker too. But anyway, basically this Bleacher Report post from Shams, is per Shams, says the Wizards, Raptors, Hornets, Kings, Heat, and Hawks, along with the Knicks, have expressed interest in Donovan Mitchell. Now, the thing with that is, keep in mind that you don't know when these teams reached out. That's one thing about like these reports. They'll say that, and it was like 2 weeks ago, for example. Like the Knicks have been in contact with the Utah Jazz for Donovan Mitchell for about 2 weeks now. So that's nothing new. Heat, same way probably. The teams that are new are Wizards, Raptors, Hornets, Kings, and Hawks. And we did hear that the Hornets before were on the short list, as in teams with odds to get Donovan Mitchell. Why were the Hornets on there? I don't know, but really, I just want to talk about if we should even trade for Donovan Mitchell. Now, the quick answer is no, just because of the fact that Donovan Mitchell doesn't play any defense, and we saw a Donovan Mitchell-led team. And don't get me wrong, like let's not pretend here. If right now, this second, if Donovan Mitchell, LaMelo Ball, and we can even, whether you want to put Miles on there or not, like I said, on this channel, for right now, we're gonna think Miles isn't on the team. But even if he is, Donovan Mitchell will be the best player on his team. So let's just say Donovan Mitchell-led team, despite what goes on with Miles, we've seen what happens with a Donovan Mitchell-led team, even with Rudy Gobert at center. So now imagine Mason Plumlee at center, or Mark Williams at center, Kai Jones at center, Nick Richards at, see what I'm getting at? Those teams didn't really play defense. Now, I will say Steve Clifford will definitely make our defense better, but Quinn Snyder also made that team defense better, despite having Rudy Gobert, but it still wasn't enough. Without Rudy Gobert, it was a horrible defense, basically. So it would be really tough for the Hornets to even just do anything with Donovan Mitchell on their team, because we already lack a center. So we've seen what a Donovan Mitchell-led team can do with a center. Now, the other reason I don't think we should trade for Donovan Mitchell is just the simple fact that this will be huge, right? This will be one of the biggest moves the Hornets have made, at least that I can remember. And I just don't, look how long it took. I don't foresee the Hornets really being competent enough, the Hornets front office being competent enough to build around Donovan Mitchell. So, like, even in general, Donovan Mitchell's not, he's a great player, don't get me wrong, but Donovan Mitchell fit next to LaMelo Ball isn't the best. So I don't see how the front office is going to be able to build a good team around Donovan Mitchell and LaMelo Ball. I just don't see it, just because they've shown us in the past how they ruin nice things. Like, granted, this offseason is not their fault. There's other moves that could have been made, though. There's moves that could have been made last season to just even be better in the upcoming season. They didn't want to do that. So I just don't see the front office being able or willing to even add more. I feel like the front office will just add Donovan Mitchell and be like, all right, there y'all go. Like, be happy. And to an extent, I would be happy, and that's what we're going to talk about next. But I just don't see the front office being able to put together the right team to make this team go even further. And then also, I personally don't know Donovan Mitchell's interest in being in Charlotte. You can get traded to Charlotte, but that doesn't mean you want to be there. So I don't know if he's going to make it difficult on the rest of the guys or anything like that, or just make it difficult on the team. It's hard to play with somebody when it's known they don't want to be there, especially with a young team. I will say Steve Clifford is a veteran coach. Steve Clifford is a good coach, so I feel like he may be able to nip that in the bud, but there's no promise on that. So I just don't see how that works, just because, like I said, I don't think they'll build a better team once they get Donovan Mitchell. I feel like they're going to feel like, all right, we're done. And Donovan Mitchell, he can play defense, but we've seen in the past where he just doesn't play defense. And I don't know if that was because he was unhappy or that he knew Rudy Gobert was behind him or what. But we already struggle with defense. And like I said, Steve Clifford will make it fine, but I don't know how much better he can make it. Also, Donovan Mitchell's a very ball-dominant guard. So that's going to be another problem that you're going to be basically asking LaMelo to play off ball at times, which I think LaMelo can do it. He said that he can play off ball, but LaMelo's best with the ball in his hand, and I mean passing and things like that. So I don't know how that's necessarily going to work. I would have to watch more Donovan Mitchell film to see how he plays. I just know from the games I've watched that he's a very ball dominant player. Granted, the best point guard they had, there was an old Mike Conley. And while Mike Conley's good and while Mike Conley is a little bit of a facilitator, he's not a facilitator LaMelo is. So that could be a difference there. Now, the Irrational Hornets fan in me thinks we should get Donovan Mitchell. And the reason I say the Irrational fan is just because basketball-wise, it does not work. Unless they can prove me wrong, fine. This will be one of the best cases to be proved wrong. I would love to be proved wrong here. But unless they do that, I don't foresee it happening. I don't see it being a good fit. But like I said, the Irrational Hornets fan in me just wants something to happen. I want this team to do something. I feel like every year we draft, out of the draft, and it works. Mitch Kupchak is a really good drafter. To me, he's just not really a good evaluator of talent within the league. And now I don't know if that's Michael Jordan talking down in his ear, because they say that Michael Jordan is the one that usually calls those kind of shots. And, in the past we've seen that he's not the best evaluator of talent. So I don't know if I really would like, I would really enjoy Donovan Mitchell being on a team, don't get me wrong. But like I said, I just don't know how they would even build the rest of the team. So I want something to happen. We need something to happen because it's been like 10, 15 years since we've just had, consistent success, and even probably more than that, since we've had consistent success. The Steve Clifford time, we were one game away from going to the next round, which would have been good, but we've been to the playoffs 3 times in like 15 years, which is ridiculous. I don't know, especially considering what you would have to give up for Donovan Mitchell, I don't know how we would make the playoffs, because at this point, you trade for Donovan Mitchell, there's no play-in. I'm sorry, you cannot go through the play-in. I know the East gotten better, but you cannot just go through the play-in at all. You have to, with this kind of move and releasing the depth we have to, and the picks we probably have to get rid of, and the young players we have to probably get rid of, you definitely would have to, you definitely just have to make the playoffs. There's nothing like that. There's no play-in. You can't make the play-in. And then also, I'm just tired of seeing this team in the play-in. I do personally feel like with Steve Clifford, our play-in games would be better. But I just would like to avoid that altogether, especially, like I said, what you have to give up for Donovan Mitchell. Speaking of what you may have to give up for Donovan Mitchell, I know that Danny Ainge's talking 8 picks. He might have been talked down from that. He might have realized that the Timberwolves deal for Rudy Gobert was an anomaly, where he got, I think, 5 actual first-round picks and then 2 players who were first-rounders within the last 2 years. So this year and last year. So that technically means like 7 first-round picks, something like that. 8 first-round picks is ridiculous. So if he's talked down to that, and then he more so wants to be on the side of 3, because I think the Hornets can trade 3 first-round picks and fine. But you have to know Donovan Mitchell's going to be there, and you have to have a secondary plan. The Hornets never have a plan to where, all right, we do this move, and then boom, this is not plan B necessarily, but this is the next step. The Hornets never have that next step figured out, and then that's how you end up with Mason Plumlee at center when the rest of the team is ready to compete for a playoff spot. You know what I mean? So I think that you really just have to. It's really all on the front office. It's not about Donovan, because, like I said, while it's not the best fit, they can make it the best fit by building around LaMelo and Donovan. Do I believe that? It's kind of the thing. I don't really believe they'll be able to build around the LaMelo and Donovan. They'll just be like, all right, we got y'all Donovan Mitchell, so here, you know what I mean? So it's really all up to the front office. That's really what it comes down to. The X's and O's, I feel like Steve Clifford can handle. LaMelo's good enough. Donovan Mitchell's good enough. The reason I'm not naming other players is because I don't know who would get traded in this case, but those 2 players by themselves are good enough to push a team to a playoff spot. However, is the front office capable enough to give those players what they need to be successful around them? And I don't think so. It's not, like I said, it's not about Donovan, it's not about LaMelo, it's not even about Steve Clifford, actually. It's about Mitch Kupchak, Michael Jordan. Can they do what they need to do in order to make this team successful and not pull another, well, we thought we were good enough? You need to know you're good enough. There are ways in the league where you look at yourself, you look at your team, you look at other teams, and you see how other teams are performing, you see what other teams are doing. But are we good enough? How does our starting lineup, or really our first at least 7 guys, how do they match up to the first 7 guys on the Raptors, the first 7 guys on the Cavs, the first 7 guys on the Hawks, teams like that? I'm not even asking first 7 guys on the Bucks or the Heat or the Sixers, just those middle of the road teams. And I say middle of the road, they're all good teams, but those teams that aren't, top 3 seed, how do our first 7 guys match up against that? And I feel like, I don't know, they're so in their own bubble and in their own world, they miss out on that. So it all comes down to what the front office can do with Donovan Mitchell. So personally, I say no, because I just don't have any faith in the front office. But talent-wise and what he can do for the team, I say yes. So that's kind of what I feel about that. That does it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I know, my setup's a little different. I have these little sticky notes back here because I'm going to put something back there one day, maybe not soon, but one day, so I have something in the background. But hope you like the new setup. Hope you like that I can show you stuff on my screen and things like that. But anyway, that does it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Y'all are destroying the subscribe button, so subscribe if you are new. Like I said, I make daily Charlotte Hornets content, so if that interests you, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. And tomorrow I'll probably have a video talking about another Bleacher Report article where they were saying PJ's underrated. And to the masses, I think he's underrated, but I think there's a player that's more underrated even within, the Hornets community, and I want to talk about that. But anyway, once again, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.